Valentine's weekend, 1974. In Fort Worth, Texas, a 17-year-old girl and her boyfriend leave a school dance and park in a bowling alley lot. Minutes later, a man rips open the car door, attacks them, and drags her into the night. For decades, her case would go cold, haunted by one horrifying fact. The killer was right there, just feet away from her boyfriend, and still managed to vanish without a trace. It would take 46 years and cutting-edge DNA tests and confrontation in a quiet suburban driveway to finally unmask the man who had been hiding in plain sight. On the 16th of February 1974, Fort Worth, Texas was buzzing with weekend excitement. Neon-lit bowling alleys, drive-ins, and teenagers dressed for school dances. Carla Walker is 17 years old. She's outgoing, popular, and a cheerleader at Western Hills High School. Her boyfriend, Rodney McCoy, is the star quarterback. That night, they attend the school's Valentine dance. Carla wears a beautiful powder blue prom-style dress. She's glowing. Afterwards, they head to a nearby bowling alley to hang out. The parking lot is crowded with other teens, but eventually, they find a quiet spot to talk. As Rodney leans over to give Carla a kiss, the passenger door suddenly yanks open. A man, large, muscular, wearing a cowboy hat, grabs Carla and starts pulling her out of the car. Rodney tries to fight him off, but the man has a pistol. He hits Rodney in the head so hard that Rodney blacks out. When Rodney regains consciousness moments later, Carla is gone. Her purse is left in the car, and inside is her address book, her makeup, and a tiny clasp from her dress, broken off during the struggle. Rodney races to get help. Within hours, Fort Worth police launch a search. They question witnesses at the bowling alley. Some remember seeing a suspicious man lurking earlier that night, but no one can give a full license plate. The next day, the search area expands. Police are looking in fields, drainage ditches, and wooded areas. 3 days later, a grim discovery is made. Carla's body is found in a culvert near Benbrook Lake, about 10 miles from where she was abducted. She had been beaten, sexually assaulted, and strangled. Police chase down several leads. One man is arrested for a similar attack, but DNA testing doesn't exist yet, and the evidence is mostly circumstantial. He's never charged. Another suspect, a soldier stationed nearby, is questioned but cleared. Meanwhile, Carla's family is left in torment. Her brother, Jim Walker, becomes obsessed with finding her killer. For years, the case remains unsolved, sitting in the cold case files of the Fort Worth Police Department. Time moves on. Rodney graduates, marries, and starts a family. But the night of the attack never leaves him. Carla's parents die without ever knowing who killed their beloved daughter. By the early 2000s, DNA testing had advanced. In 2004, police extract a DNA profile from evidence collected in 1974, but at the time it matches no one in the national database. Another 16 years pass. In 2019, detectives partner with Othram Inc., a company specializing in genetic genealogy. By uploading the unknown killer's DNA to a public genealogy database, analysts can begin building a family tree. After months of work, they zero in on one man, Glenn Samuel McCurley. McCurley had been questioned back in 1974 because he owned a .22 Ruger pistol, the same type used in Carla's abduction, but he claimed it had been stolen. With no physical evidence back then, he was cleared, but now his DNA is a match. In September 2020, police visit McCurley's Fort Worth home. He's 77 years old, living a quiet suburban life. Detectives tell him that they want to talk about an old case, Carla Walker's case. McCurley denies ever knowing her. They ask him for a DNA sample. He reluctantly agrees. The lab results confirm the truth. McCurley is Carla's killer. When confronted with the evidence, McCurley confesses. He says he was drunk, saw Carla and Rodney in the parking lot, and just wanted to have some fun. His confession is chilling in its casualness. No remorse, no deep reflection, just matter-of-fact evil. In 2022, McCurley pleads guilty to kidnapping and murdering Carla Walker. He is sentenced to life in prison. Rodney McCoy, now in his 60s, sits in the courtroom and finally hears the man's voice, the same voice from that night. Jim Walker, Carla's brother, says that it is not the justice that they wanted. They wanted it decades earlier. But it's justice all the same. For 46 years, Carla's killer had been hiding in plain sight, and he would have gotten away with it if DNA hadn't caught up to him. Carla Walker's case is proof that no matter how much time passes, the truth has a way of surfacing, and sometimes it's living right next door. January 7th, 1946. A 6-year-old girl is abducted from her bedroom in a quiet Chicago neighborhood. Her parents wake to find ransom notes, but no sign of their daughter. What follows is a story of unspeakable horror, a city gripped by fear, and a case that would haunt Chicago for decades. Suzanne Degnan was a bright, blue-eyed 6-year-old girl living with her parents, William and Marion Degnan, in the Edgewater neighborhood of Chicago. She was described as a sweet and intelligent child, loved dearly by her family and friends. The Degnans' home was in a safe, middle-class area, and Suzanne's abduction would mark the beginning of a nightmare that would shock the city. On the night of January 7th, 1946, Suzanne went to bed as usual. Her parents were in the living room when they heard a noise, but they thought nothing of it. The next morning, Suzanne was gone. A ransom note demanding $20,000 was found on the floor, but there was no further contact from the kidnapper. The Degnans contacted the police, and a massive search ensued. Days later, parts of Suzanne's dismembered body were found in various locations around the city. Her head was discovered in a sewer, her torso in a catch basin, and her limbs scattered in different drains. The pure brutality of the crime stunned the community. The coroner's report indicated that Suzanne had been strangled to death before being dismembered. The precise dissection led investigators to believe that the killer had some knowledge of anatomy. The investigation into Suzanne's murder was intense and widespread. Police questioned hundreds of individuals and followed numerous leads. One of the primary suspects was William Hearns, a 17-year-old college student who had been arrested for unrelated crimes. Hearens confessed to the murder of Suzanne Degnan, Josephine Ross, and Francis Brown. However, his confession was controversial. He claimed that his alter ego, George Merman, was responsible for the killings and that he confessed to avoid the death penalty. Some experts believe his confession was coerced under duress. Despite the controversy, Hearens was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. He maintained his innocence throughout the incarceration, and his case remains a topic of debate among criminologists and legal experts. Suzanne Degnan's murder was one of the most horrific crimes in Chicago's history. It led to an increased awareness about child safety and changes in how law enforcement handled abductions and murders. The case also highlighted issues with the criminal justice system, particularly regarding confessions and the treatment of suspects. William Hearens' conviction and subsequent claims of innocence have kept the case in the public eye for decades. Both Carla Walker and Suzanne Degnan were young girls whose lives were tragically cut short. Their murders shocked their communities and left lasting impressions on their families and the public. These cases remind us of the vulnerability of children and the importance of vigilance in our communities. They also underscore the complexities of the criminal justice system and the ongoing quest for truth and justice. Rest in peace, Carla Walker and Suzanne Degnan.